Hey, what's up, DS3 TV? I can see you haven't subscribed to the channel. It's kind of weird. You should subscribe. I mean, we got some good content here. And also, go to the Twitch that's in the link down in the description. Link is probably right here under me. And yeah, should do all of that. And yeah, please subscribe. Get to see me have hot sauce that I don't really want to have when we get to 10,000. So subscribe. What's up, DS3 TV? We are back for another video. This one is the Decemberist Revolution Part 2. I know you guys really like the video I seen from looking at the the analytics from the first day. So yeah, we're getting back into it, and yeah, this should be a really good and fun video to watch. I like watching the first part and reacting to it, and yeah, it's gonna be good. So this is Decemberist, the revolt against the Tsar. I'm gonna, of course, label it part 2, but yeah, this is part 2, and from what I seen in the description of the last video, it is gonna be the final part of this, and it's gonna talk about I think it's in the description of this one. It's the final part, and it's gonna be talking about the revolt that happened in Ukraine and the one, and I think it's fine. I'm gonna just go out of the video here. Actually, I can't do that for some reason. Nice, great. This is what I like. But yeah, basically, it's gonna be talking about the revolts in both places from both parties. So yeah, pretty good. This video is gonna be out on Patreon first. So if you want to see the video and get the nice inclusive scoop and stuff like that, and also if you want to look at the if you want to recommend me stuff that's like definitely will get copyright claimed and stuff like that, because yeah, it doesn't matter if I mention them in the title or not. Sometimes people false copyright claim. It's just how it is, right? But yeah, anybody who I think will probably get copyright claim, I will have a video. I could actually do those recommended reactions on Patreon only. But yeah, besides that, yeah, people on Patreon get first videos first, and also Patreon exclusive videos. So yeah, it's a very fun time over there. Also, my Twitch, Lotus Abbey. If you want to watch me game and stuff like that, I'm gonna start gaming over there every day. Hopefully in the morning after I get off work. That's what I want to start doing. So we're gonna see if that happens, and yeah, let's get into it and play.
December 1825. The unexpected death of Emperor Alexander has thrown Russia into confusion. The line of succession had been secretly changed from his brother Constantine to a younger brother, Nicholas. As he struggles to assert his claim to the throne, a secret society...
Yeah, because Constantine was basically... Constantine was like, I am not going to get killed. I promise you I will go farther away from Russia in order to not get killed.
Society of army officers prepares to make its move. Most are veterans of the wars against Napoleon. Now they want a political revolution in Russia, an end to autocratic government, and the abolition of serfdom. The fate of their revolution will be decided in a single day of chaos and violence on the streets of St. Petersburg. They will be known by the month of their uprising.
I forgot that the last video, basically, they only have one time to get it right, because literally they only have a small narrow window until they swear the oath to the new Tsar. So this is gonna be really freaking this is gonna be really freaking heavy. That's like I think that's what I want to say. I don't know if that's the right word I want to say, but you guys know what I mean.
The Decemberists. This video is sponsored by MyHeritage, the world's leading service for family history research and DNA testing. Anyone with an interest in the past will certainly be interested in their own roots and their family's place.
I actually want to get my DNA tested, like to see like where did I come from? Because like majority of my family can only trace back the Native American heritage of my family. So I want to know like exactly how much percentage is like am I Native American, how much percentage am I like black or whatever, right? Kind of want to know. So it's very interesting. Not gonna watch the whole ad, but I will show the code. I don't. How am I gonna do this? It said video. It said link in the description, so you can. I put the original link for this video in the description, so just follow the link to the original video, and you'll see the link for the 50% off. It's fine.
14th December 1825, St. Petersburg. The Decemberists' Northern Society has its headquarters at the offices of the Russian-American Company, where one of its key members, Rylev, is a major shareholder. Decemberist leaders have been working feverishly day and night to put everything in place for a coup. Rylev is the chief organizer, despite being unwell. Before dawn, they learn that the new emperor has ordered all troops and officials in the capital to swear an oath of loyalty to him that morning.
Wasn't he sickly when he first came into like the Decemberist group or whatever? I don't know. Maybe I just maybe misheard that from the first one, but I think that was what was going on. Like he was always sickly since he at first came to the Decemberists.
They must act immediately. Once the troops swear the oath, it will be too late. Most Decemberists are officers in the Life Guards regiments stationed in St. Petersburg. They plan to tell their men that Nicholas, known and disliked by the troops, is usurping the throne from his brother Constantine, to whom the soldiers swore an oath of loyalty just 17 days ago. There is no plan to involve the Russian people in their revolt. These young aristocrats fear that this would only lead to the bloody chaos of the French Revolution.
Maximilien de Robespierre.
Instead, they will rely on their social connections and the unquestioning trust of the men under their command. They will then use these troops to seize control of the capital, the emperor, and the government. They will form 3 groups. The first will be led by Captain Alexander Yakubovich, a distinguished veteran of the Caucasus War with a reputation for courage. His men will seize the Winter Palace and secure Emperor Nicholas and his family. Some Decembrists want to keep the emperor prisoner, but Rylev secretly entrusts his assassination to 28-year-old Pyotr Kakhovsky, an officer recently retired due to ill health. As a cadet officer in the Life Guards Jaeger regiment, Kakhovsky had been demoted for rudeness, debt, and laziness. He is a loner.
Got demoted for rudeness? Wait a minute, that's interesting. I kind of want to look that up later. He got demoted for rudeness so what did he do? I wonder what I mean, I kind of want to know I know what he got actually in trouble for, but I kind of want to know the story behind how did he get charged with all of these things? What led to that, right?
Without friends or money, but dedicated to the cause of liberty, and imagines himself a slayer of tyrants. A second detachment will be commanded by 32-year-old Colonel Alexander Bulatov, a hero of the Napoleonic Wars and Relif's childhood friend. He's recruited just a few days before the revolt, as the Decembrists seek to involve more senior officers. His unit will seize the Peter and Paul fortress, which contains the city's arsenal and dominates the city center. Colonel Prince Sergei Trubetskoy has been appointed dictator, or leader of the coup. He is another officer of proven courage from a distinguished family. He will command the main force, expected to number nearly 10,000 men, which will assemble in Senate Square. Trubetskoy will then enter the Russian Senate and demand that it issues the Decembrists' manifesto to the Russian people. The document announces the establishment of a new provisional government until elections can be held, the freedom of the press and of worship, equality before the law, the introduction of jury trials, and the abolition of serfdom and military settlements. Two well-known and respected politicians.
I mean, it sounds really good. Like, it actually sounds like a pretty good, it sounds like the model Russian society, like the utopian Russian society, honestly.
Nikolai Mordvinov and Mikhail Speransky would lead the new government to provide continuity and reassurance.
If I am to be emperor for only 1 hour, I shall show myself worthy of being so. Emperor Nicholas, 14th of December, 1825.
The Decembrists, drawing on their military experience, have come up with a realistic plan to seize control of the Russian capital. But almost immediately, the conspiracy begins to unravel. On a bitterly cold morning, Kakhovsky and Yakubovich come to Relev's apartments, where the Decembrists have been meeting. Kakhovsky has lost his nerve and is no longer willing to kill the emperor. At the last minute, Yakubovich has also decided he cannot shed the blood of Russian soldiers and refuses to lead troops against the Winter Palace. Bulatov, who is supposed to lead his troops against the Peter and Paul fortress, does not even show up.
Everything that could have went wrong. What the heck? How? Everybody backed out.
The Decembrists are in a race against time. There are several Guards regiments in St. Petersburg. They must win over enough of them to secure the capital.
I mean, yeah, that's what you have to hope for now, because you have you have a good percentage of people that backed out. What the heck?
For the regime understands what's going on and moves against them. But they learn that the Senate and Preobrazhensky lifeguards have already sworn the oath of loyalty to Nicholas. This painting was based on sketches made later by the emperor himself. It shows the Preobrazhensky Lifeguards 1st Battalion arriving at the Winter Palace that morning. It's an act of loyalty for which Nicholas will always be grateful. A battalion of the Moscow Lifeguards Regiment comes over to the Decembrists' cause, thanks to the efforts of Captains Shepin Rostovsky, Mikhail Bestuzhev, and his brother Alexander Bestuzhev. But the regime is moving much faster than expected. Officers loyal to Nicholas, now aware of the unfolding coup, arrange for the Izmailovsky, Semyonovsky, and Pavlovsky Lifeguards regiments, and the Lifeguards Horse Regiment, to swear the oath to Nicholas.
This is literally a movie. Like, literally, if you wouldn't even have to change anything to make this more dramatic. You can literally make this a movie. I mean, maybe change something to like where they actually do like take over the Tsar or whatever, like, or something like that. But like, honestly, this is a movie. Like, they're literally racing against time to make sure that everybody swears an oath before like a revolution starts, and then the Decemberists are trying to get to everybody and start a revolution. And so they don't want him to swear. They don't want any of the regiments to swear an oath, which is like insane. This is like literally a movie.
700 men of the Moscow Life Guards Regiment leave their barracks and march through the icy streets to Senate Square. Their rallying cry is, "For Constantine and Constitution." The men of the Moscow Life Guards Regiment take position in Senate Square, near the famous bronze statue of Peter the Great. They are joined by several Decembrist leaders, including Ryleev and Kakhovsky. Captain Alexander Bestujev ostentatiously sharpens his saber on the base of the statue. Officers and men look resplendent in full dress uniform. But Trubetskoy, the leader of the coup who is to present the Decembrist manifesto to the Senate, is nowhere to be seen. And the members of the Senate have already gone home. Ryleev leaves to find him. Crowds of spectators begin to gather around Senate Square. The general mood is one of support for the Decembrists. This watercolor was painted by Karl Ivanovich Kolman, an eyewitness, and is considered one of the most realistic depictions of the day.
Oh, that's actually really nice, though. That it was an eyewitness that painted it. This is like, I love the painting of it. Like, it just looks amazing.
Around noon, Count Mikhail Miloradovich, Governor General of St. Petersburg and a famous war hero, arrives in the square. He rides straight up to the Moscow Life Guards Regiment and asks, "Who among you was with me at Kulm, Lutzen and Bautzen?" recalling the great battles against Napoleon. He tells the men they have been lied to, that Constantine has renounced the throne, and they must swear the oath to Nicholas. In Trubetskoy's absence, Lieutenant Prince Eugen Abelensky becomes de facto leader of the Decembrists in Senate Square. He tells Miloradovich to leave, but the general ignores him. Abelensky tries to prick the general's horse with a bayonet to drive him away, but accidentally stabs the general. Then Pyotr Kakhovsky steps forward and shoots Miloradovich at point-blank range. The general, mortally wounded, is carried away by his horse. The Life Guards Grenadier Regiment and sailors of the Guard declare for the Decembrists. They join the Moscow Life Guards in Senate Square. The Decembrists are gathering a powerful, disciplined force of 3,000 troops in the heart of the Russian capital. But
okay, it's getting kind of interesting now.
Trubetskoy has still not appeared, and there is little leadership. They stand and wait in the freezing cold, while the Emperor begins to mobilize his own forces. Unbeknownst to the men in Senate Square, Prince Sergei Trubetskoy had given up all hope of success early that morning, as soon as he heard that the Senate had sworn its oath to Nicholas. Possibly suffering some form of breakdown, he wanders around the city, at one point passing by Senate Square itself. His brilliant military record makes such behavior difficult to understand. A Decembrist later recalled, "His absence had a decisive influence upon us and the soldiers too, for with few epaulets and no military titles, no one dared take command." Ryleev, meanwhile, exhausted and sick, spends the day in a futile search for Trubetskoy before he is forced to retire to bed. The crowd is now several thousand strong, and their loyalties clearly lie with the Decembrists. Some policemen and patrols are even attacked by civilians. When Emperor Nicholas arrives, he and his entourage are pelted with sticks and stones. But Guards units loyal to the government are arriving at Senate Square in force and take up positions surrounding the rebels. Soon they outnumber the Decembrists 3-1, though not all are willing to fire on their comrades. In fact, Isaac's bridge is deliberately obstructed by troops of the Finnish Life Guards regiment, whose sympathies lie with the Decembrists. Others, such as General Orlov, are outraged by the Decembrists' actions. He orders his Guards cavalry to charge the rebels. His men are pelted with stones and timber thrown by the crowd, and the rebels stand firm. Some shots are fired, a few men are hit, and the cavalry withdraw. Several cavalry charges are made that afternoon, with no decisive outcome, and just a handful of casualties. Still, no Decembrist officer takes charge of the situation. There seems to be no plan at all. It is -10°C, and their men have been standing motionless for hours. The commander of the Life Guards Grenadier Regiment, Colonel Nikolai Sturler, arrives to order his men back to barracks. Kachowski shoots him, inflicting another fatal wound. The metropolitan bishops of St. Petersburg and Kiev approach the troops and tell them it is their Christian duty to swear the oath to Nicholas. But they are mocked and chased away. The Emperor is deeply alarmed by the situation in Senate Square, though many comment on his calm demeanor. He later confides to his younger brother, "The most amazing thing about this story is that you and I were not shot."
I would say that's the most amazing thing right now. This is like interesting. That's why I haven't, in the past 5 minutes, I haven't talked, because this is like the most interesting story I've ever witnessed.
The short winter day is ending. Nicholas fears that if the standoff continues into the night, the crowds will turn hostile. He now has 32 guns of the Guards' artillery at his disposal. He sends General Sukhozanet to tell the rebels to lay down their arms, or they will be fired upon. It's a bad choice of emissary. Sukhozanet is despised by the troops. They tell him to get lost. As dusk falls, the guns are wheeled forward. The first volley is blank rounds. The next is fired over the heads of the rebel troops, but hits several people in the crowd. The troops stand firm.
Oh, wow. So yeah, they were really trying to give them an out, because they were like, I don't really want to fire on my fellow comrades I just was in war with against Napoleon. I really don't want to. So just fire blanks. Maybe they'll stop. Then let's just fire over their heads. Maybe that'll make them stop. Still stay there firm. That's insane. In 10 degrees Celsius weather. Knowing that type of weather, because I'm from Chicago, it's insane. It's insane to stay there for so many hours doing that.
The next volley of grape shot is fired directly into their packed ranks. Scores go down. Under this murderous fire, the troops break ranks and head out onto the frozen Neva River. Mikhail Bestuzhev tries to organize them for an attack on the Peter and Paul fortress, little more than 1,000 meters away across the ice. But as they form up, they come under more artillery fire. cannonballs smash the ice. Many drown. The rest escape as best they can. After a standoff lasting several hours, the military revolt has been ruthlessly crushed by Russia's new emperor. The official death toll is just 80. Eyewitnesses claim it is much higher.
It probably was a lot more like soldiers that were there than what historians are actually saying, or whoever wrote it down, or like whoever wrote it down once, so they probably minimized it a little bit.
Decembrist leaders, who all survived the bloodshed in Senate Square, are rounded up and arrested that night and the following day. The Decembrist uprising in St. Petersburg is over. The revolt in the south has yet to begin.
After seeing the one in St. Petersburg, I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in Ukraine. Half measures achieve nothing. We want to clear out the whole house. Pavel Pestel, letter to Nikita Makarov.
December 1825. Tulchin, Ukraine. The day before the St. Petersburg revolt, Pavel Pestel, leading figure of the Southern Society, is denounced by one of his officers and arrested. The Southern Society's plans for an uprising are thrown into chaos. Sergei Muravyov-Apostol takes over as leader. He receives news of the disastrous uprising in St. Petersburg, but decides to go ahead with the planned rising in the south. On the 29th of December, he is arrested himself, but quickly freed by fellow officers. The next day, he leads 2 companies of the 29th Chernigov Regiment into Vasilkov, where they seize money, weapons, ammunition and supplies. 3 more companies, more than 400 men, join the rebels. The next morning, a revolutionary manifesto, written by Muravyov-Apostol and Lieutenant Mikhail Bestuzhev-Ryumin, is read out to the troops. In the question and answer form of a religious catechism, the document calls for an uprising to end autocracy, serfdom and conscription. Question: what does our holy law order the Russian people and army to do? Answer: to repent of our lengthy servitude and stand against tyranny and wickedness, vowing that in heaven and on earth there shall be only one emperor, Jesus Christ. By the 1st of January, Muravyov-Apostol leads a force of 17 officers and 1,100 men. He attempts to march on Zhytomyr to link up with units of the 8th Infantry Division, whose officers are sympathetic to the Decembrist cause. But his route is blocked by government forces. Then, on the 3rd of January, at Ustimovka, his force is intercepted by troops under General Geismar. Muravyov-Apostol hopes the opposing troops will join him. Instead, they open fire with grape shot. Then the hussars charge. A few men are killed, but most quickly surrender. 895 men and 6 officers are taken prisoner, including Muravyov-Apostol, who is badly wounded.
Wow, that is insane. They were ready. They were ready to fire that time. They said, forget it.
His brother, Hippolyte, and another Decembrist officer, Anastasy Kuzmin, take their own lives to avoid capture. The Decembrist uprising in the south is over. Crushed.
That was really quick. Like, that was really quick in the south. They did not. Wow, that was... I thought more was going to happen in the south.
In just 5 days.
whole story is, in a few words, I love my fatherland passionately. I desired it, its happiness with zeal. Uh, is it colonial? It's colonial. Wait, what? Colonial. I don't know how to say it. Pablo Pastel. I don't know. Alright, what's up, DS3 TV? So you see me in a different outfit because I have to re-record this part because the camera died and I didn't know. So what I decided to do was 2 days, wait 2 days and finish the video, right? That sounds like the best thing to do right now. Wait 2 days to finish the video and then, so that way it feels like I haven't seen it in a while because I don't remember anything from it. So hopefully that'll be good enough to give me some stuff to say about it, right? So yeah, should be good. We should have the Q&A come out today with this video, and then I'll pre-shoot another video. So that'll be fun. And yeah, let's get into it and play.
In St. Petersburg, the Decembrist leaders are interrogated by Emperor Nicholas in person before they are sent to the Peter and Paul fortress. The Emperor gives instructions on how each prisoner is to be treated, whether they are to be kept in shackles and treated severely or more gently.
Damn, that sucks. Everything that could have went wrong, because I'm starting to remember a little bit of it now, everything that could have went wrong went completely wrong for them. Insane.
He despises them all. Trubetskoy he describes as a repellent example of an ungrateful scoundrel. Nicholas sets up a commission to investigate the plot and its origins. 579 suspects are arrested and subjected to repeated interrogations, long periods of solitary confinement.
They were saying those were small groups, but that's kind of that's pretty fucking a lot of people to get arrested. But I guess it's a small amount considering the rest of the population. But that's a pretty considerable amount of probably upper class people, people that were definitely noble people, right?
Hunger and cold, or feigned sympathy. Many confess freely, revealing details of secret societies and names of co-conspirators. A few resist defiantly. Colonel Bulatov, who was to have led the attack on the Peter and Paul fortress, is so racked by guilt that he kills himself in his cell. There are no trials as such. 5 months later, the commission returned.
So they got it down to a more reasonable number for them.
Its verdicts to the emperor. 290 are acquitted, 289 are guilty, with 121 judged to be the greatest offenders. A supreme criminal court is formed to carry out sentencing, according to 11 categories of guilt. Devised by Mikhail Speransky, the man the Decembrists had hoped would lead their new government.
He's a real Benedict Arnold, isn't he?
Those found guilty of minor crimes are demoted and sent to fight in Russia's long-running war in the Caucasus, along with the regiments that joined the Decembrists. 31 of the Decembrists found...
Which is historically accurate because Benedict Arnold would have been known as a traitor around this time, so...
guilty of the most serious crimes, conspiracy, rebellion, desiring the emperor's death, are to be executed by beheading. But Nicholas shows mercy and commutes their sentence to hard labor for life in Siberia. Before they depart, officers are stripped of their rank and noble privileges and ceremonially disgraced. Their greatcoats are burned, their swords snapped in half. This is the punishment handed out to Nikita Muravyov, who drafted the Northern Society's constitution for a new liberal Russia. And to Prince Sergei Trubetskoy, the Decembrists' vanishing leader, whose life is only spared because of his family name. 5 Decemberists will not be spared. Pyotr Kakhovsky,
He looks so evil, dude. He just looks so evil.
Sergei Muravyov Apostol, Mikhail Bestuzhev-Ryumin, Pavel Pestel, and Kondraty Ryleev.
Yeah, he looks so evil compared to everybody else. I mean, I know he's like, it's a picture, so he's supposed to be portrayed to look like that more than likely. Like, he more than likely did not look that like cartoonishly evil, but like he does look really shifty. Like, you can't tell me, like, looking at him right now, that he doesn't look shifty.
A public death for the chief instigators and conspirators will be their lawful revenge for disturbing the public peace, Nicholas writes to members of the commission. All 5 are sentenced to death by quartering, a brutal punishment involving public dismemberment. God and the sovereign have decided my fate. I must die, and die a shameful death, Ryleev writes in a final letter to his wife. Pray to God for my soul.
The tactics of revolution may be summed up in 2 words. To dare, if we come to grieve our failure, will serve as a lesson to those who come after us. Kondraty Ryleev. Kondraty Ryleev. I think I've said it right that time, hopefully. But yeah, let's get into it. Honestly, I think this is a pretty good sentence because, it's a pretty good quote because it's it actually talks about what it actually foresees what what Vladimir Lenin was going to do not too long after. Well, I guess it was pretty long after, but still, it's kind of interesting. Like what they another revolution that happened later that actually was successful, I guess.
13th July 1826. Nicholas commutes the sentence to hanging. But the execution of the 5 Decembrists by the ramparts of the Peter and Paul fortress is badly botched. As the men are hanged, ropes break, and 3 men fall to the ground. What a miserable country. They can't even hang us properly, remarks one survivor. Spectators appeal for mercy. According to tradition, a man who survives a hanging should be spared.
Well, yeah, because it's from what I remember hearing about, if you survive a hanging, you're supposed to be spared because that means God wanted you to be alive or whatever. No matter what you did, that means that God wants you to be alive, which I think is a fucking stupid saying. I think that's fucking stupid. I'm sorry, that's a fucking stupid thing. Like, no, if you do some bad shit, like really, really bad shit, you should have to face the consequences of that. I'm sorry. Like, it's not. I don't think that's a good way of handling that.
Instead, more rope is found, and the second time, there is no mistake. More than 80 Decembrists were eventually sent to Siberia.
But also, I guess I'm against the death penalty for other reasons. If you want to see a video on it, comment about it. I can make a video on it and kind of tell you more so my thoughts when it comes to that. But yeah, I'm against the death penalty. But if you did some messed up shit, then yeah.
A few were accompanied by their wives, who voluntarily renounced their own noble privileges to be with their husbands. Conditions in Siberia were not as extreme as might be imagined. Their hard labor was mostly farm work. Wealthy prisoners were sent money from home, which they used to buy supplies. For active young men, boredom was the greatest enemy. They took up hobbies, played chess, painted. These watercolors were painted by Nikolai Bestujev, who on the 14th had led the Imperial Guard sailors to Senate Square. Some formed their own academy, sharing their knowledge and going on to teach local children and set up schools. They remained hopeful of a pardon, but it proved a 30-year wait. Only in 1856, after the death of Emperor Nicholas, was an amnesty announced for surviving Decembrists. Among them, Prince Sergei Trubetskoy, who returned to Russia and is...
Hey, look at him, looking... I mean, I think I said this in the video that it did not come out because the camera died. He looks pretty good. It looks like exactly like the, just an older version of the painting, honestly. I like the painting. It looks really, really good. It does show him as a younger person, I feel like.
Seen here, photographed in 1857. The Decembrist uprising seemed to have been a total failure. A wildly optimistic operation, poorly planned, chaotically executed, doomed from the beginning. The loss of life, thoughtless and unnecessary. But the Decembrists had mounted the first organized political revolt in Russian history.
Yeah, I don't think it was unnecessary. I feel like that's like something that a lot of people I feel like that's like a position that maybe that was held at that time. But like looking back at history and looking at the revolution that happened after and stuff like that, I feel like it just set the precedent of how you should do a revolution if you're gonna do it in Russia, because they did it unsuccessfully, so it gave the groundwork for the communist, the social, the socialist communist party or whatever, in Russia to gain power, like Vladimir Lenin. It gave them a good blueprint to get power there. So,
as such, their impact would prove far-reaching. The recent conspiracy, wrote the British resident minister in St. Petersburg, failed from want of management and want of a head to direct it, and was too premature to answer any good purpose. But I think the seeds are sown, which one day must produce important consequences. Emperor Nicholas was never interested in reform. The issues of serfdom and a constitution would be around for decades to come. For those who took up the cause of reform, including Russia's liberal intelligentsia and future revolutionaries, the Decembrists were an inspiring example of action in the face of tyranny. The father of Russian socialism, Alexander Gertsen, was their great champion. He named his political journal Polar Star after Ryleev's own. On the cover of its first edition, the 5 Decembrist martyrs. In time, the Decembrists' aims, the abolition of serfdom, a constitution, even the overthrow of the Tsar, were achieved. But their brand of 19th century liberalism was soon overtaken by events in Russia. The communists...
Well, yeah, and that's why I said, it worked to an extent, but, it effectively just traded one very harsh dictator for another harsh dictator, because they didn't like that they got voted out, even though it was supposed to be democratic, which is why I usually try to advocate for social democracy, but it's fine.
Never completely approved of the aristocratic Decembrists, though in 1925 they did allow Senate Square to be renamed Decembrist Square, to mark the 100th anniversary of the Rising. But the Decemberists' place in Russian history remains highly contested to this day. A 2019 Russian blockbuster film was accused of trivializing the Decemberists and their aims. Others called for the film to be shown in schools. While in 2008,
That's sick though. I kind of want to see that, honestly.
the St. Petersburg Square where the Decemberists made their famous stand was renamed again, back to Senate Square. The Decemberists continue to serve as a warning to some, an inspiration to others. All that is certain is the Decemberists have not been consigned to history just yet. Thank you to all the Epic History TV Patreon supporters who make this channel possible.
That was a really good video though. I liked it. It was really informative, and honestly it told like a pretty good story. I definitely don't agree that it didn't do anything. Like, yeah, like I definitely feel like it had an impact, and it left an impact on the Russian people that they can like uprise if they, you know, and revolt if they really, when they, you know, feel like that they have to have a plan though. That's what I feel like that's what it like told them, and I don't think those lives like were lost in vain. I don't think they were. They like were definitely dying for a cause, and the cause eventually. It got, I would say, 80% of the way there. Not, you know, excluding the whole dictator part. It got 80% of the way there. But, you know, because they did get it, they ended up getting a constitution. They ended up having the Tsar abdicate. So that's exactly, you know, what they did want. But not everything was followed, if you get my drift. So, yeah. Talk to you guys in the next video. Yeah, the Q&A should be out later today, and yeah, peace.